What's up, everybody? This is Jeff Bernard with Solve Systems, and today, Kevin Lee, our intern, really good intern, is going to be going over the document NextGen Paylocity API endpoints and how to build something with it in Microsoft Logic Apps. It's really cool new functionality that Paylocity has released with their NextGen API. They're doing a really good job with it and very excited to be developing with it. So if we can do anything for you in development-wise, please reach out. Also, like and subscribe for more Paylocity NextGen API videos. So we're going to go over the documentation, then we're going to jump into the video with Kevin Lee explaining how to build something with it. So let's go. In the Paylocity NextGen API document endpoints, we have 3 of them. We can go actually to the document overview. So on each employee, there's documents associated with them in Paylocity. And so now Paylocity has offered a way to get those documents from the employee. So we have 3 endpoints here. We have get a list of documents for a company. So that will get all the documents for a company, obviously. And we have some parameters, company string ID, uploaded date, date less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, include content count, several different parameters that we can build with, right? And then we can get a list of documents filtered for an in-company employee. So what that allows us to do is drill down into a company employee. This could look like something with another video we've made for syncing employees from Paylocity to Microsoft Intra. On that onboarding, we can get the employee documents and send that to another system. In the video, we send it to a blob. So that's helpful. Then we can retrieve a document by its ID. So when you get the documents for the employee, you'll have a list of IDs for all of the documents attached to them. And then we can retrieve the document. There is a authorization for a specific amount of time. So when you make the API call, you'll have a certain amount of time to retrieve the document. So it's good to do that fairly immediately. But then you'll be able to iterate through the array of objects of employee document IDs and download those to a blob. So without further ado, Kevin's video on how to build this.
So for this video, we are creating a Microsoft Azure Logic app to save documents into storage. This is going to be done using Paylocity's next generation API. This one specifically, and it can be used for any of Paylocity's systems of record. To do this, it requires a little bit of setup. I went ahead and created a Logic app named Paylocity Doc Puller. We also need to create a storage account. This one I've named Paylocity Doc Blob. And under containers, I have created a container named docs and where we will save the documents into. To create a container, you can go ahead and press this button here and name it whatever you like. And that's about it for the setup for our storage account. Under settings, there will be endpoints that you can reference if you're having trouble connecting your storage account to the Logic app that we will be building. Under our Logic app, we can go ahead and look into the Logic app designer. It should look somewhat like this, but with an empty canvas. And this is what we are going to be building. It is a Logic app that requires about, I would say, 2 steps. The first step being making sure that we are getting the tokens that we need so that we can make the API calls that we want to get the data that is required. And once we have that data, we can loop through it, create the documents that is needed, and then save it into the storage account that I have made here. And so to get started, we need a trigger. This is going to be a manual trigger that has 3 parts. This first part is the HTTP URL. This is automatically generated by Microsoft Azure. The method we're going to leave as default, and then the request body JSON schema will take a company ID and an employee ID. And this is important because we can use this to reference. So let's say we want to initialize a variable. We can go ahead and do so, name it whatever we would like. This schema says that they are a string, so we can go ahead and select string, and then we can reference it here, company ID or employee ID, right? So this is done throughout the logic app so that we can get the data that we need. Here I have initialized some variables: company ID, user authentication, and password authentication. User auth and pass auth will be company specific and unique for per company, so I'm gonna keep that hidden. And these two steps aren't really required. It's just there so that I can hide the username and password that I will be using. All right, and now this next chain of nodes will pretty much be getting a token, parsing through that token that gets returned, and using that token that we have parsed so that we can make an API call to get the data that we need. This is repeated again here, where we're getting the token, parsing through the token so we can get the value that we need, and then using that token to make an API call so that we can get the correct endpoint data that we are requesting, right? So it's done twice. The first one is going to be getting the token for the Paylocity Sandbox. To make an HTTP request, you go into add action, search up HTTP, and then you can fill out the URI method, headers, and body if needed. This is done here. I named it Paylocity Sandbox. The URI will be the Sandbox connection to get our token. It's going to be a post method with this content type header. The body will be this grant type client credentials scope of the web link API. And here is where we authenticate to make sure that we are getting an authenticated token. It's going to be basic, so we're going to not change that. The username can be manually typed here. I'm referencing the variables that I used to keep hidden, but you can just type it here, and this will make sure that you are getting the correct token for your company. If you typed in the right credentials, this should return a body that we can reference in parse JSON. To do a parse JSON, you can add an action here, parse JSON. Click here, and then it'll require a content and a schema. The content will always be the body that's returned from the HTTP, at least for this logic app. And we can reference it by typing here, body, and selecting body here, right? This is done in this node here. We are referencing the body from Paylocity Sandbox, and we are telling it that the data return must be in this schema. It's going to have the access token, when it expires, and the token type. The schema is going to be the exact same once we parse again over here, right? And so once we parse that, we now can reference this access token wherever we need. We're going to reference it in this next HTTP call called getEmployee. And getEmployee is going to take a URI at the API sandbox with our company ID that I have listed up here in the variable, but you can reference it from the trigger, the employees, and then the employee ID, which is from our trigger as well. It's going to be a get method, and it's going to have an authorization header, a bearer, where we parse in the token that we have received from parse sandbox. So this access token here will be fed into here so that we have authentication to get the data that we need. It's going to accept the data as a JSON, and then at the end, we can parse through this return body here. So we reference this body. It's going to be under getEmployee. And this returns an array of items with the employee ID, the status code, and the status type code. All right. So that's the first bit for our sandbox. The next part is going to be using the Paylocity next generation API and repeating that process. So in this HTTP post request, we are going into our API and we are setting our client ID to our unique client ID. This is unique for each company, so I won't be letting this be visible. I had it in this variable right here. You can just type it out as you need. And once we have done that, the return body should be our token. And so we can access our token here when we parse through the JSON and make in our next HTTP request, we can then feed in our URI with our company ID here. So this is going to be the URI here, where the company ID changes depending on the company that is creating the logic app, right? You can also specify different parameters here as needed if you want to customize yours further, but we're going to keep it as is and just change up the company ID. It's going to take an authorization header where it is the bearer will be the body access token that we have received here. And so once we have made that request, we can parse through it and get this data, following data, right? What's really important here is really the document ID. So in this JSON schema, it's going to return an array of objects, and each object is going to be our document ID. So that means that every point in this array, there is a document ID that we can reference for each employee. And so this allows us to loop through this array and reference the document ID, which is what is done in this block here. To create a loop like this, what we've done is gone and add an action, right, for each. And then in this for each loop, we can reference the parse docs body, right? And so in this parse doc body, we are pretty much just looping through every index of this array. This is what is done here. And at every index, we are making a request. In get employees docs next generation, we are making this request with our company ID fed in dynamically and the body document ID fed in as well in this URI. The body document ID is, again, each object. So we are looping through the array. So let's say we're at the first index. At this index, we are referencing this document ID. Once we have that document ID, we're making a post request that is authenticated by this access token that we used previously, and it will return a data in a JSON format. We can then parse through that data, getting our document ID, download URL, and when it expires. We are going to be using this download URL in our next call, where the URI will be the download URL. So this is where we get our actual document that we can copy. And then under compose, this value, the document will be returned in the body of this HTTP request. And then we can convert that value from base 64 to binary using this function, right? To do this is very similar to inserting a dynamic content, but instead we're inserting an expression where we can type in our expression here. This specific expression will convert what we received from fetch document into binary so that we can store it in our blob storage, right? And so once that is done compose, we then create a blob storage. To do this, we go here, create blob, and under create blob, we have all these parameters we can fill out and link to the storage account that I have made here. Right. So this is done under this node. And so I have the name of the blob that I made here. So these match up, and I have made the connection over here. Once you have connected it, you can define the container you want to put it in. I want to put it into docs where I have created this container. And then our blob name can be anything ending, and we want it to end with .pdf because they are going to be saved as PDFs. And then our content will be the output of this node, the compose, right? So we can go ahead and dynamically go in here, compose outputs. So it's going to take the document that we changed from base 64 to binary and then save it into our blob storage with this specified name. And now that that's done, that's pretty much how the logic app is created. And then we can go ahead and run it. And now as we're running it, we can see that it is going looping through 25 document IDs. So this parse docs returns an array of 25 objects, and through each of those, we are looping through it. And in 9 seconds, we have created the documents that is needed inside of our linked blob storage. And so we can go in here inside docs, and we can see all the documents that has been made from this logic app. All right. That's pretty much it. If you guys need help with development, make sure to contact Solve Systems in the description below, and we'll be happy to set up a meeting and help you guys out.